Ladies, puberty, PMT, pregnancy, the menopause. Yes, your hormones have been taking you for a ride for years. Hot flushes on the bus, menopausal meltdowns in the office, whatever those hormones have made you do, Jenny Smith and Kate Bauss are here to lend a sympathetic ear. Why not write in and share your hormonal hell with the girls? Don't worry, they've heard it all before. It's time to put those hormones in the firing line. This is Dear Hormones. Welcome to your safe space, ladies. Coming up on today's show, Kate shares her very first letter, one woman's battle with menopausal paranoia, and a showdown in John Lewis.
Hello and welcome back to Dear Hormones. Hi, Kate.
Hello, Jenny. Hello, everybody.
So I'm so excited. I'm going to jump straight into this. So this is the very first time, guys, that we are going to hear from Kate Bauss. She has written us a letter to do with the perimenopause, because it's been so long since we recorded the last season that Kate is she's kind of in the middle of it now. It's just creeping in, isn't it? It's creeping in, Kate. She's 45. This is the exact age where my symptoms completely came to the fore, and Kate has now got a letter for us that she's willing to share.
I feel a bit nervous.
I'm so excited.
Oh, here goes. Dear Jenny, just written to you.
Hi.
I am not a neat freak. I think you know that's true. Far from it. But the older, and let's face it, the more perimenopausal I become, I'm facing it.
Oh, well done, Kate.
The more aggravated I am by the fact that my 3 children are all under the impression that my sole purpose in life is to pick up their mess. That's the role of a mother, isn't it? Personal slave. Nothing better to do in life than to pick up and sort through dirty laundry. Fish out clogged up matted hair from shower plug holes. Collect used glasses and cups with stagnating tea bags in them from random corners and crevices in bedrooms.
Sorry, I'm laughing because
that's my life.
I'm so pleased to hear it, because
It's my life, honestly.
Because I had the same thing. I know I don't have 3 children, but it's the same. It's lovely sharing the misery with somebody else.
I love my children so much. They're the most amazing beings. But my goodness, I get really frustrated by the state of our house. It's horrid. One Sunday afternoon, I reached a new peak in my anger levels. I had spent most of the day, really, pretty much all day, repeating to my teenage son that he needed to tidy his bedroom floor, which we hadn't seen in weeks. The state of it was really getting me down. And that's true, it actually gets me down.
It gets me down.
It gets me really, really sad. Oh. He kept telling me that he would do it. But when I checked in every half hour or so, I would find him still lolling around on top of the mound of dirty laundry and cuddly toys to which he continues to be deeply attached.
Lolling around.
Just rolling.
I love it. He's lolling around
rolling on like a hill of like
on top of the mess. They don't see it, do they, Kate?
Nothing.
They don't see it.
Not at all. And I said, with the toys, I said, I know that is a lovely thing. And it is a lovely thing that he still loves all of his cuddly toys and won't say goodbye to any of them. But it would be lovely if they were tidied away off the floor. They're just everywhere. And the thing is with my son is that he is a very sentimental being. And that's so, so nice. But when we had my 3rd child, he was given the option to move into a bigger room, which was sort of our old bedroom, our double bedroom, and he thought long and hard about it because he's in this tiny little box room, and he decided that he just couldn't say goodbye to his lovely box room in the end, so he stayed in there. It's a tiny little room, and he's now obviously a huge teenage boy, and he's got a lot of stuff, and there's nowhere really for it to go, so it's not easy, and yet he does have drawers that he could put his clothes into, and there is a laundry basket that he could put his dirty clothes into, and none of that happens. So it's just, and you just think by the time it's so much easier just to do it yourself, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes.
But I shouldn't be doing it myself.
No, I know. Only this morning, Kate, I made my son's bed again. Again.
I've given up altogether on making beds. It's just, if I can see the floor, I'm happy. But it's very rare. It must have been about the 10th check or so when I suddenly exploded. And once I had, my outburst just kept coming. I surprised myself by how emotional I was. With each sentence I screamed at him, I felt more and more wronged and more sorry for myself. Everything I was saying was so true. Why was my son persisting to live in his selfish quagmire of mess when being confronted by it every day hurt me so deeply? I felt surge after surge of red-hot anger coursing through me.
Kate, I'm sorry. Can I just stop you there? I mean, I've got the biggest smile on my face, and I shouldn't have, because I mean, I do have a hug for you as well, Kate, and I will be giving you a hug as soon as this podcast is finished. But
I've welled up a little bit at this point.
Kate, oh no, now I'm not smiling anymore. Now I'm not smiling because it's like listening to myself 5 years ago. That's what's happening here. It's so, well, I just know that feeling when you're angry. That side of your brain that is egging you on.
Yeah.
It's egging you on. You're like, yes, you're right. Yes, he should be doing this. Yes, you should keep going. No matter how much the other side is talking to you, that nasty side is bigger, isn't it? It's bigger and stronger, and you kind of start enjoying it.
I just felt more and more sorry for myself, like just more and more, upset and sad and wronged by the whole thing, and angry all at the same time. Just all make it to, and the more I said, the more I couldn't stop. Yeah. That was the thing, I think, that you think, because I'd said it all, so I should have stopped, but I couldn't. Yeah. I just kept on going on and on and on, just worse and worse and worse, reaching higher and higher pitches of,
Oh, Kate, I'm so sorry.
And my son is the most lovely boy, as you know. He's so lovely.
Wonderful boy.
So I've said it, my utterly lovely son is a dreamer. This sudden outburst of mine shocked him, and he himself shed tears to match my own.
Oh, Kate, I'm really sorry.
And was hugely contrite. Then pick up those dirty boxer shorts right this second and put them in the laundry basket, I yelled. Unfortunately, his response did not help the situation. Where's the laundry basket?
Oh.
And he really said that.
No way.
I mean, I don't think he thought about what he was saying. I think he's probably so frightened of me. He's just like, where's the laundry basket? He obviously knows where the laundry basket is. I mean, it's like right in the middle of the bathroom. But yeah. Oh, where's the laundry basket?
Oh, Kate, how did that make you feel?
Cue another bout of crazed screaming from me. A little later, when I had calmed down somewhat, I headed into the bathroom for a wee. Opening the toilet seat, I was confronted with a couple of pairs of soggy boxer shorts at the bottom of the toilet bowl.
What?
That's right. My dreamy son had chucked them in there. Rather...
Stop it! Is this seriously
true? I promise Kate, you. Absolutely true. I've told this story to so many people, and I haven't told you this, Jenny.
I not know this?
Well, I think because I saved it up. I told you I've got a really good one, and you said don't tell me, so I didn't. He chucked them in the loo. He chucked them in there rather than into the adjacent laundry basket.
Because I know your son as well. I could just see how that could happen. Yeah, because he's like just not really thinking. His brain is on something probably quite scientific.
Yes.
He's about planning to build or something. Yeah. And he's wandered in there. Oh, Mum said I had to go and put it in the laundry basket in the bathroom and not even realise.
Open the lid of the wrong thing.
Of the toilets.
I mean, they're right next to each other, right? So they're literally the loo's on the right and the laundry basket's on the left. And you open a lid, and he just opened the wrong lid.
But does your laundry basket look like a toilet?
No.
Oh, it reminds me of Auntie Joy's letter in season 2 when she went and had a wee in a laundry basket.
It does.
Oh my goodness, Kate, what did you do? Oh, carry on. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, I said. So yeah, he'd chucked them in there, my dreamy son, or possibly he had been so panicked by my outburst of rage that he hadn't been able to think straight. My darling boy, I am sorry for my over-the-top reaction. But even as I write this, and I'm in a very level-headed place at this point, I would like to stress that if you could make a bit more effort to tidy your room, it would make me incredibly happy. Please, please. And I love you and thank you. Mum, Kate.
Round of applause. If I had a sound effect for a round of applause, you'd be getting that right now, Kate.
Thank you.
What a great letter. I'm really sorry. Firstly, I'm going to give you the sympathy that you've given me every single step of the way. And that is to say, I'm really, really sorry that you're feeling like that, because it is hell on earth.
It's rare. I haven't had it very much yet.
Yeah.
But on that particular occasion, I
guess the good thing is that you were able to recognise that as a potential hormonal outburst, and not you just thinking, why have I just done this? Why have I gone mad? So I'm hoping that the podcast maybe is making you realise that wasn't your fault. But also, Kate, it is so frustrating when they don't tidy their rooms. I'm on HRT now, Kate, and that is the one thing that is still getting me riled every single day. So God only knows what I would have been like without the HRT. So I think actually you handled that really quite well.
I mean, I didn't do anything with my pubes.
No, exactly.
Harking back to our writer last week. Was it Caroline?
Yeah, Caroline. Yes, because you could have done that, Kate. You could have trimmed them off and scattered them all over his room in a fit of rage.
Or I remember one from our first season. Do you remember Mini Cheddars? Where Mum was very angry and she sort of like crumbled up a whole packet of mini creds and then scattered them all over a bed.
Yes, I remember that letter, because I remember how she said she didn't break eye contact with him as she scrunched that bag up in front of his face, and that's the bit that made me laugh so much, because that's how it gets to you, and it's quite a frightening feeling when it's going on, isn't it? Is it while it's going on? It's afterwards, straight up. I think it's immediately afterwards when you calm down, that those feelings of remorse and sort of fear sort of come over you, like, what have I done? Why have I?
Because in the moment it does feel a little bit like, it felt, whilst I felt more and more sorry for myself, it did feel, I didn't want to stop. That's the thing that resonates with me as well, having read lots of letters on this podcast about people saying I couldn't stop. I remember you've said a lot of times, haven't you, Jenny?
Yes.
I just couldn't stop.
Yes.
And I think that was it. The not being able to stop that was the same for me.
It's weird, because I remember almost enjoying it whilst it's going on, that side, enjoying it, and like you said, you feel so right in what you're saying, and you need to really hammer this home, and because you are being quite scary, and so they are sitting there with their little faces thinking that you've got a captive audience, haven't you? Which makes it you're like, right, I'm really going to go for this now, because he's he's listening.
The thing is, I think you're a bit nicer than me, Jenny, because you always feel very contrite and very sorry about these episodes. And I definitely went a bit too far, but at the same time, I still
you still feel like you were in the right.
Whilst I lost it completely, I kind of was still in the right, actually.
Well,
you should tidy his room.
Yeah, no, you are right. That's the thing. You are right. Yeah, tidy your room. I just guess there probably are slightly different ways to go about it. But Kate, can we just revisit the pants down the toilet? I mean,
no, and you come and fish them out, and he was like, "Oh," he just said, "Oh."
Did he even explain how that had happened?
Well, he just had thought that it was. We had a bit of a laugh at that point, actually, because it was. I mean, it was a little bit after the event, and I had calmed down. But I said, "What have you done? Why are your pants in the toilet?" But we both could work out what had happened, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm really sorry."
Oh no!
And I said, "Well, I'm not getting them out. You can go and you can fish them out yourself."
And did he? That's a question. How clean was the toilet? I mean, because you're saying that like your kids are treating your house like a hotel. I mean, had the toilet been cleaned any time sort of recently?
I can't really recall. I don't recall it being at its worst, thankfully.
Good. Yeah, otherwise, he would have fished them out anyway himself.
He would have had to have
that would have been another lesson learnt.
There was no way I was going to do it.
Thanks, Kate. And here's to lots more like it. No, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. But let's not get you on HRT too soon, because we do have, a whole season to fill with letters. So maybe I'll allow you to go to the GP when we get to, I don't know, episode 10 or something. Is that okay?
Jenny, I went this weekend to visit Buckingham Palace and to have a tour of the staterooms, and it was very exciting to go.
Brilliant, isn't it?
And I wrote to Jenny saying that I was doing this because Jenny's a little bit of a fan of the royals, as I think we know from the show. And all Jenny wrote back was, "I'm hoping that you're going to have a perimenopausal moment while you're there."
I'm sorry, Kate, but can you imagine having a royal
In
like
the
a
throne
Buckingham
room.
Palace dear hormones letter? I mean, it doesn't get better, does it? Does
It
it?
would have been great. I'm really sorry to disappoint you.
Oh, another time. Okay, let's crack on with letter number 2. This one is called County Lines, and it comes from Sarah in York. Dear Jenny and Kate, I would describe myself as a pretty level-headed woman. I manage a team in a very successful international company, have 3 beautiful children, run the household, and have a pretty active social life to boot. I would say I am definitely the rational one in my friendship group. Well, I was until quite recently anyway. This is a story about a time when I turned into an anxious, neurotic, paranoid head case, and all thanks to the bloody menopause. I have a beautiful 15-year-old son who has never done anything wrong. Sure, he may have been a bit too chatty at school sometimes, but he's never done anything that would lead any sane person to believe that he'd be capable of what I'm about to tell you. For some unknown reason, although I now know it to be the hormones, I'd started to feel extremely paranoid that he was falling in with the wrong crowd. If he didn't come home promptly from school, I'd be wondering where he was and what he was up to. I had a tracker on his phone, which I have for all the children, and if I saw that he was standing in one place, such as outside a shop, for any length of time, I had absolutely convinced myself that he was dealing drugs. And if he wasn't dealing drugs, I'd decided that he was most definitely being groomed to deal drugs. Or worse still, that he'd been caught up in county lines. He was only ever gone for about an hour at most, and he was never more than a mile away from the house. But all the same, I couldn't let it go. Poor woman. I'd been internalising my feelings for quite some time, which in hindsight was probably the worst thing I could have done. I'd allowed myself to get worked up into a stupor, and my anxiety levels were off the chart. Eventually, I blurted out my fears to my husband. I told him that our son was most likely a drug dealer because he'd been standing outside the sweet shop for up to an hour at a time, and that I couldn't think of another reasonable explanation for it. My husband just looked at me and then pulled me in for one enormous hug. He told me that he thought I'd let my imagination run away with me. And in that moment, I suddenly realised he was right. It's funny, even though 99.5% of me knew I was being ridiculous, in my hormonal state, I could only ever listen to the remaining 0.5%.
Yeah.
I quickly realised it was time to discuss my options with the GP. A few weeks later, and I was on HRT, and I can honestly say I haven't had a paranoid thought since. And I no longer feel the need to frisk my son for drugs every time he comes back from the corner shop. You see, that's it, isn't it? That's this, when you fixate on one particular thing, and this is totally a hormonal thing. And so she just decided that he's dealing drugs and couldn't get it out of her head.
Yeah.
And that's what the hormones are doing to her.
And even at the time, she says that most of her knew, that 99.5% of her knew that she was being ridiculous, but she still couldn't stop that 0.5% that was telling her that he was a drug dealer from listening to that.
Yeah. But also imagine, though, now how she must have felt, even though, the 99.5% of her knew that it wasn't that, to have that 0.5% take over so much and to actually think her son was dealing drugs. And the anxiety levels that she would have felt.
I want to know more about the discussions that she had with her son actually at the time. I'd love to know whether she ever confronted him about it.
Yeah.
Or whether it was just her husband that she...
I think perhaps not, because she says, doesn't she, somewhere that she internalised a lot of it. So I think it was something like a battle she was having with herself, which is really sad. But thank goodness she mentioned it to her husband. I think, she says... she told her husband and he just looked at her and pulled her in for one enormous hug. I'm getting the sense that perhaps wasn't the first time she'd been saying something that
he
wasn't quite
knew.
right, and he knew.
This is a good husband.
It's a good
well
husband.
done to him.
Yes, and well done, Sarah in York, for recognising what was going on. And now you're on the HRT. Thank goodness you've not been having those feelings anymore.
So wonderful that HRT can make such a difference for so many women. And obviously we need to say that it's not the solution for everybody, is it, Jenny?
No, of course not.
But it can be the solution for so many.
Yeah.
And it's had such a bad press in the past. And it's great to hear so many stories.
Yeah.
Your own, obviously.
Yeah. Well, and yours, Kate. No, not yet. Not yet. Yeah, but I think even for the people who can't take HRT, I think if you are educated enough around the perimenopause and the menopause, that even if you're not an HRT, like you, Kate, with the episode with your son, being able to, after the event, recognise that it was your hormones, I think is really key. I think when I was going through all of the things that I was going through at the beginning, it took me a long time to work that out. And those times were the scariest times.
And her GP also was quick to prescribe her HRT as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, sounds like she got a good one.
Right, I'm going to move on to our next letter, Jenny, which is entitled The Pill.
Okay.
Dear Jenny and Kate, I hope this letter finds you well. I write to you as a recently published women's health author whose life was immensely impacted by contraception. In 2021, at the age of just 25, I suffered a stroke after developing a blood clot on the combined contraceptive pill.
Oh my God.
I am sharing my story not to scare people, but to raise awareness and empower young women to make informed decisions about their health. So the name of this, I haven't actually looked ahead. So this is Holly who's written this.
Okay.
And she is a published women's health author. It all started back in August 2021. I was in a new relationship and not looking to get pregnant anytime soon, so I knew it was wise to get on some contraception. I wasn't entirely sure what method to go on at first, but knew that the pill was a popular option. We were still emerging from lockdown at this time, so GPs weren't seeing people in person. I was therefore prescribed the combined contraceptive pill over the phone. This is the first red flag to my story, I guess. It meant that the regular checks couldn't be performed, like taking my weight and blood pressure. I wasn't even given a pamphlet laying out the risks and side effects associated with taking the pill. I remember the woman on the phone mentioned that the pill was linked to low mood, but I thought if I started to feel down, I could just stop taking it. No other risks were discussed.
Wow.
So this is a huge thing, isn't it? And how COVID has really hugely affected someone not being able to see a GP in person, what that has meant for her. During my first month of being on the pill, I experienced dizziness and sharp head pains. Naively, based on the lack of information I knew, I dismissed these symptoms as my body just simply adjusting to the new hormones. This couldn't have been further from the truth. Fast forward to Halloween in 2021. I was in a work meeting and I remember suddenly feeling really strange. My vision started to blur and I was struggling to hear the person sat right next to me. I remember trying to have a sip of water and the water just fell out of my mouth and onto the table. At this point, I knew something was wrong. People were asking if I was okay, but I couldn't communicate an answer. I was paralysed, unable to speak, even lift up my arms, and my face had dropped on one side. Thankfully, a colleague picked up on this and knew to call an ambulance straight away. I was laid down on the floor until they arrived. What really stays with me is that whilst lying on the floor, although I couldn't move or communicate with anyone around me, I was still able to have those internal thoughts we all have in our heads, our inner monologues, I like to call them. As I lay on the floor, my mind racing, I remember thinking, fuck, is this one of those freak accidents where people just out of nowhere pass away? I could faintly hear one of my colleagues crying, saying how fit and healthy I usually was to the paramedics. I really was terrified. I had absolutely no idea what was going on. It was a truly traumatizing experience that I wouldn't wish upon anyone. Oh,
Awful, Kate.
how terrifying.
Yeah.
And she really thought she might be dying.
Yeah.
When in the ambulance, I somehow snapped out of this paralysed trance that I was in. All in all, it lasted about 15 minutes, but if someone had told me hours, I would have believed them. I entered the hospital, confused, scared, and one of the first things the doctor urgently asked me was, "Are you on any contraception?" I told him I was on the combined pill and I was instructed to stop taking it immediately. The next day, I was sent to a stroke clinic in London, where it was confirmed after an MRI that I had had a stroke. As I now know, the combined contraceptive pill carries a risk of blood clots. A stroke is essentially caused by a blood clot that travels to the brain. I remember being with my mum and dad when told this news, and it was undoubtedly the worst moment of my life. None of us could believe what we were hearing. I thought, how is this my life? This can't be my story. I'm 25 years old. To think that something that was meant to empower and protect me had produced such a life-threatening outcome was really hard to process. Women should not have to risk their lives in order to have safe sex. Also, why is contraception given out to young women so frivolously? Why are we not made more aware of the serious side effects? I had lots of questions, along with feeling incredibly hurt and let down.
Yeah.
But my goodness, I mean, I didn't know, and I took the pill for quite a number of years. I did know that it could cause blood clots. To cause a stroke, I mean, I would never have been looking out for anything like that.
No.
It's just horrifying, isn't
Yeah.
it? And this poor girl's parents as well, to see that happening to their young daughter.
Terrifying.
I wonder how it is now, because certainly when I was sort of, around that age, around the age of 20, it was very much the thing. All of my friends, we all took the pill. That it was sort of, it was kind of expected that if you had a long-term partner, that was what you did.
It was, wasn't it?
And I wonder if that's still the case now with the younger generation of 20-year-olds. That's sort of the expectation, or whether people's knowledge of hormones and how hormones can change our bodies so much, and whether that has made any difference.
I don't know if it has made much of a difference. I mean, this girl Holly, she's quite young herself, right? She's in her 20s, and she said she went on it to protect herself from getting pregnant. So I think it's still very much
almost an expectation.
The option, that's out there, rather than just promoting. Well, wearing a condom, firstly, obviously, is it's the easiest thing that everybody can do without messing around with any of their bodies.
Yet amidst this pain, I found a lot of strength when writing, feeling connected to women's health issues now more than ever. My confidence was really knocked by the experience, and for a long time I was very anxious and frightened to go out by myself, terrified that something like that would happen again. This, however, did give me a lot of time to write. After undergoing heart surgery in August 2022, I became determined to publish a witty and light-hearted poetry book that could raise awareness around my experience and other women's health issues. Because, let's face it, they are not spoken about enough, with a particular lack of awareness amongst young women. Absolutely true.
Totally.
And this leads me to now. As Roy T. Bennett once said, our hardest times can often lead to our greatest moments. I am now the proud author of If Tits Could Talk.
Brilliant name for a book.
A beautifully illustrated poetry book all about women's health, from smear tests to contraception, masturbation, and more. It is the perfect read for any young woman. My work has been praised by world-renowned poet Rupi Kaur, along with numerous women's health charities, such as Copper Feel and the Pink Ribbon Foundation. I have performed my poetry live on BBC Radio and at the Royal Court Theatre. My book is also stocked across 12 London bookshops and has most recently been taken on by leading book wholesalers, Gardeners, who have the connections to distribute it into bookshops across the UK, including WH Smith's and Waterstones.
Oh, how brilliant.
It's brilliant. She's made so much out of such a dreadful, dreadful experience.
Yeah.
She's just turned it completely around.
Yeah.
What wonderful success. How brilliant. And I want to read this book.
I've got it here, Kate.
Oh. So what a journey it's been. I've learned so much and I've met so many amazing people along the way. I'm proud to now be in a position where I can talk openly about my experience And I hope sharing my contraception story with you today will empower young women to make informed decisions about birth control. Do your research, know your family history, and know the side effects. We all deserve to feel safe and in control. I am proud to be raising awareness through my poetry, igniting important conversations about health that speak to women everywhere. All that is left to say now is that I urge you to grab a copy of If Tits Could Talk for an important woman in your life. Every purchase contributes to raising awareness and empowering women about their health. All my love, Holly. What a
Oh, my word.
remarkable woman. Do you say you have got that book with you, Jenny? Have
Yes,
you?
I've got that book, and I just wondered whether Kate, there's a really good poem in there about the menopause. So I wonder whether we should read that out next week.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know if I can wait until next week.
It's called Something's Wrong with Mum. So
All right, okay.
that might be a good one to read out next time. But what an important message there, and also how lovely, like you said earlier, that she's managed to turn around a very scary time and is now empowering other women and educating other women off the back of her horrible experience, and has turned it into this brilliant poetry book. In fact, we could probably just dedicate an entire episode to reading out all her poems. They're all kind of female related or hormone related things. So thank you so much, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
So our last letter this week is simply called John Lewis, and it comes from Molly in Winchester. Dear Jenny and Kate, I really struggled to breastfeed my babies because, as they kindly wrote on my form in capital letters, I had flat nipples.
Oh, in capital letters, that's brutal.
Nice. My nipples were like bullets when I was pregnant, but as soon as I gave birth, they were as flat as pancakes.
How
no.
How dare they?
I tried all those ridiculous contraptions in an attempt to pull them out. But aside from being really painful, nothing actually worked. My babies were both tongue-tied when they were born, which made breastfeeding very difficult. My son was also tongue-tied, and breastfeeding was very difficult and very painful, actually, because of that. They didn't want to latch on, and what with the flat nipples making things even more tricky, I decided to hire one of those big machines from the hospital that promises to get 3 times more milk out of you.
It's like being a cow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then she says, bullshit.
Oh.
It was so demoralising sitting strapped to a machine for up to 10 times a day with it pushing and pulling my flat nipples and only ever producing a measly 5 mils of milk.
Oh, it's horrid. Absolutely horrid.
Isn't it a horrible time? I know. Did you express?
A little bit, but not very much. I was very fortunate with breastfeeding. It was very, it all went very well. I preferred not to express. I wasn't very good at it.
Yeah.
Whereas, and it's difficult.
Yeah.
So, I had the situation that the minute my first one was born, she just latched on immediately. I remember the horrible feeling of it. I didn't enjoy it at all. It felt like I was being sort of gnawed at.
Yeah, I remember we've talked about this before.
Yeah, horrid feeling, but it worked.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate, certainly.
But you are just milking machine, aren't you, for months on end then? Because like whenever they want it, it's just all down to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. She carries on. This story happened when baby number 2 was about 3 months old. I'd been trying and failing to breastfeed as per the first child. My nipples were still flatter than ever, and as a result, the baby was finding it nigh on impossible to latch on. I was tired, I was frustrated, and I was feeling extremely hormonal because of it all. I have read that breastfeeding can mimic the menopause due to the production of the milk-producing hormone prolactin temporarily blocking estrogen production, which might explain why I did what I'm about to tell you. One day, my husband and I decided to run some errands and had popped into John Lewis to buy some birthday cards. My son was only about 3 months old at the time. My husband had taken the baby off while I took the cards to the cash desk. I was wearing my big winter duffel coat and a massive scarf, and as I plonked the birthday cards down on the counter, the young lad behind the desk said in a big loud voice, "Congratulations!" I didn't understand. Why was he congratulating me? It wasn't my birthday. I'm not buying my own cards here. Why am I being congratulated? Utterly confused, I said, "I don't know what you mean." To which his face fell and he said in a much less confident voice, "Oh, are you not pregnant?" "No!" I screamed. Do I look pregnant? I shouted as I pulled my coat apart and lifted up my jumper, revealing quite a flabby post-baby tummy, but definitely not a pregnant one. He was mumbling, "Oh, no, you don't look pregnant. Oh, gosh, I'm really sorry."
Oh, no.
Before witnessing me crumple onto the desk and bawl my eyes out.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Now, I have to say I relate to this very much because this has been said to me before.
Has it, Kate?
Yes, it has. And, well, on more than one occasion, I'm embarrassed, hugely embarrassed to tell you.
Has it?
Yes.
Tell
so
me.
It happened to me once when I was on the tube.
Yeah.
When I was just
Oh, no, we offered a seat.
Yes.
Hang
Offered
on.
a seat by
When
like
was this? When was it? Was it
a while
mid-babies
ago.
or
No,
long time after
not
babies?
even.
Oh.
Not even at all. You know, I wasn't remotely pregnant. I was just, slouching a little bit. And I mean, I do have a little bit of a tum on me.
Oh,
and I was
my
just,
God. You're skinny. Can I just say, everybody, Kate is skinny as a rake.
Well, no, I think I have a bit of an unfortunate figure.
She doesn't.
So somebody offered me their seat and I was just perplexed and couldn't understand why I was being offered the seat. And then I realised, but by the time I realised, everybody in the tube carriage was looking. So I didn't really know what to do. And I was like, oh, no. And then the person said, oh, no, I insist. And it had become this whole conversation with everybody watching. And in the end, I couldn't say, oh, I'm not pregnant, because that would have been more embarrassing. So I just accepted it and sat down.
Did you put your hands on your tummy?
Yeah.
Like, oh, thank you. Like maybe one hand on the small of your back.
Pretty much.
Oh, like just taking a load off. Oh, thanks, guys. Okay, that's
So
awful. And does
embarrassing.
it happened again? So it's not
Then
just
it's
once.
happened again, like not all that long ago.
Oh,
That
no.
we were at a service station and I asked where the toilets were, and the lady that I asked said, "Oh, are you pregnant?" No, just asking where the loos are.
I am incensed. I can't believe that. Oh, poor you, Kate.
Thanks, Jenny.
Oh, that's awful.
Thanks, Jenny.
Anyway,
So I sympathise with our writer here.
Too right. And then some. So anyway, so he's just gone, no, you don't look pregnant. Gosh, I'm really sorry.
Yeah, no one said that to me ever, by the way. No one took it back. Clearly I did look
Did
pregnant.
you also, though, pull your coat apart, lift your top up and show
No, I didn't. Good on her for doing it.
So then he's witnessed her crumple onto the desk and bawl her eyes out. I was sobbing like a toddler, having a tantrum. When I looked up, the poor lad was bright red, looking mortified and embarrassed. My husband, meanwhile, had spotted me from the other side of the shop and came running over in a panic. He thought there had been some hideous accident and that a family member had died. He came skidding to a halt and asked me what had happened. And in the highest pitched voice you've ever heard, I said, he thought I was pregnant!
Oh.
I just couldn't control the sobs in front of all the people still waiting in line. My husband tried to console me, saying that my coat and scarf had made me look bigger than I was, but I was having none of it. Now, when I look back on that day, all I can think of is that boy behind the counter and how he's been dining off that story for years. Oh, who was that from again? Molly. Molly, we love you. Thank you for sending that in.
Absolutely love you. And I've been there. And I sympathise hugely with you. But I love what happened there. You made, I mean, to be fair, you did make the situation worse for you there. When he thought I was pregnant. He had said it to you, but you announced it to the entire store.
But the hormones, again, completely made that happen because, I mean, yes, it would be insulting to be told you're pregnant, especially, I don't know about you, and I think I may have even said this before, but I remember once I'd had my son, almost immediately feeling like Kate Moss. That bump had gone, and I was like, whoa, look at me, when actually, looking back, I was massive still.
Oh.
Because you're not straight,
Yeah.
I was still 3 stone heavier, minus the baby.
Yeah.
So I still had a huge tummy, but because that huge bump wasn't there, I remember like swanning around feeling like, yeah, I'm looking all right. So this woman as well, 3 months on, was probably thinking, yeah,
she's got to
but she
back,
did say she still had a bit of a baby tummy and she had the big coat on and she had the scarf. And, this guy was probably just wrongly. I mean, this is a little tip for everybody out there. never, never assume that any woman is pregnant.
You've got to
ever.
be 100 and then some % sure.
Yeah. And with that little bit of advice, we'll leave it there, guys. Thanks, Molly. And thank you, everybody, for writing in this week. Everyone gets a badge. And Kate, you're getting your very first badge too.
Oh, thank you,
I'm
Jenny.
going to present it to you. I'm going to film myself doing it and put it on the Instagram. Thanks again, guys. Don't forget, if you want to write into us, you can send us an email, and it's dearhormones@yahoo.com, or you can send us a DM to the Instagram page, and that is @dearhormones. Please write in. We really want to hear from you. We basically wouldn't have a podcast without you guys. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Goodbye.
That was Dear Hormones with Jenny Smith and Kate Bauss. If you've got a story to share, email the girls at dearhormones@yahoo.com, or they're @dearhormones on Instagram. Until next time.